So welcome back to episode 18. We've done this for 18 straight weeks, Kelley. Sort of. We recorded 2 to cover our holiday break, but we've put out...
Oh, in the first one we did 2 in the same day.
But we put them out we put out an episode for every week for 18 weeks, which is pretty cool.
That is impressive.
I think it's awesome. Most podcasts die before their 7th episode.
Wow.
So ours is like old now. It's awesome. So welcome back to Balancing Chaos with
Kelley
and Gretchen. And today we are going to be talking about where we live and how we survive it, even though it kind of seems like maybe we shouldn't, and how we deal with the winter blahs that naturally happen in a place like Bangor, Maine. Where
it's currently snowing.
Yes.
Again.
And it is, it's 17 degrees now. It was 15 before.
It was 40 on Sunday. I honestly wanted to put on shorts and a t-shirt and have a picture in the snow. I just didn't have time for it.
The girls were skiing, and I actually was out. I wasn't skiing. I was just like observing and hanging out with the parents because one is in ski lessons and one just skis with her friends. And we were out there in front of the lodge in no coats, no hats, no mittens, drinking a cup of coffee. It was great.
That's awesome.
Sort of, because you're also seeing the snow melt around you, and it's a ski hill, so it's also a little depressing. But, that's one of the ways we beat things. So the reason why we had this topic is because we joked last time about how we're really not paid by the city we live in to talk so highly of it. And we made a point to say that it wasn't a gated community and that there is no HOA, that this is just your average, small city in Maine of about 30,000 people. And one of our friends commented about how here we are, that you always hear us talk about how we have these tiny houses, we have no garages, we have to park, you can't park side by side, you have to do tandem parking, and and it's freezing cold, but it's awesome and it's great. So we're going to talk about some of the things that make our town and our community great, which yes. I think helps with the winter blues.
Yes. So winter blues. So Gretchen, a listener suggested we talk about this.
Yes, somebody actually messaged me and said you guys should totally talk about the winter blues because it seems like everybody in January is depressed.
Yes. So it's really funny because I hate cold weather. I hate being cold.
I'm going to take a picture and I'm going to post it of Kelley right now.
Yes.
I really am.
I hate being cold. I hate it so much. Oh, here we go. There's my picture. I always walk around in multiple layers of clothing.
She is currently on my couch. We're actually wearing our matching what is it?
Fleece line Shirt-Jacs from LLBean.
And she's wearing a knit hat with a pom. And my house is not cold, by the way, today, right now. And she's also wearing her down coat, which is one of her other favorite things, is draped across her. And are you wearing a fleece shirt too?
No, that's just a normal shirt. That's a Talbot's knit cotton shirt.
Okay, and we have a cup of hot tea.
Yes.
So I'm going to post a picture.
That would have been a better one.
Yeah. So you hate being cold. I couldn't tell.
I hate being cold. I am constantly complaining. If you ever ride in a car with me, the heat will be on full blast. You will be sweating. And I will be in heaven. And
you have seat heaters?
We do. And we have dual climate control, at least in my car now, because James hates driving with me because I get so cold.
But does that even... Dual climate control seems like kind of a scam because you're still in a tiny box. Like, it's not like there's a wall that comes up and gives one air conditioning and one not, right?
Well, you can. In my car, you actually can blow cold on one person and hot on the other. But... It's
not gonna mix.
It's not a perfect science. No, it's not. But I hate being cold. And so every winter what happens is I get a hit about right now and I'm like, why do I live here? Because I cannot handle it. It's so cold. But I think part of the joy of living here is going through the winter because the first day that it's sunny and the snow is gone, it is the best feeling in the entire world. You're just driving in your car, at least for me. I'll put all the windows down, crank my radio, just belt out a song at the top of my lungs.
And so what temperature does that start to happen for you?
I think 50.
Yeah, 50, 45, 50, depending on if it's been really cold and then it's 45. And then I'm just putting out a number because I think that in other places people would be like, oh my God, it's 50 degrees, I'm going to die. I mean, when I moved to Phoenix, I lived in Phoenix for a year in my 20s. And when I moved in May. And it was the beginning of the longest stretch of days over 100 that they'd ever had. Like it was like 100 days over 100 degrees in a row. So it was hot and I adjusted. And when I left, I had looked at the historical data and it never goes below 75. So I left all my coats and stuff here. And I remember being on break in Phoenix in October and having goosebumps and being like, it's so cold. Oh my God, what's the temperature? Want to guess?
60?
83.
No.
Swear to God. I literally had to go to JCPenney and buy a fleece coat because I was cold outside at 83.
Oh my gosh. Well, I do believe that you adjust.
Oh, totally.
I mean, I definitely can see how that can happen. People who come over from a warmer climate.
Yeah. Oh,
those poor people. I feel so bad for them.
I have a friend who works in Louisiana now and came home for Christmas to visit her family, and Christmas was that week, if you remember, was like 30 below the whole week.
I didn't leave my house the entire week.
And she was like, I'm never coming back. Sorry.
I don't blame her. That is too cold for me. I can't handle this extremely cold weather. But so Denmark, we've talked about before, is ranked as the happiest place on earth. They have really short days in the winter with sunlight, because I think this unseasonable cold that we have right now, I don't think it's necessarily, that's not a common temperature. I think that the real common problem with winter is the daylight and not having the sun is
I 100% agree with
not
that.
having the days as long. But in Denmark, so I looked up their exact daylight, and their sunrise is around 8:45 a.m. in the morning and sets at 3:45. So it's about the same as ours throughout their winter months, 4 or 5 months of the year, yet they're still the happiest.
Right. That's like about an hour difference of daylight.
Yeah.
I think ours usually, the shortest day is usually my work day. So like 7:30 to 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so we were just ranked Maine. Okay, this isn't that prestigious, but it's still pretty, it's an honor. And I love their quote. So it was Maine Thrillist Travel List ranked Maine number 2 on, and these were the criteria, inventions, food, drink, somewhat productive, famous people, and unique physical beauty. And the highlight of the state was Portland. It says Maine is so hot right now mostly because of Portland. And it's a hipster with a lot of great food, etc. But this was the funniest part. Then it says, and outside of Portland, that is Maine. Mainers don't give a damn about your trend forecast. They're just going to keep naming their children Wade, selling LLBean backpacks to middle schoolers and using the term down east to mean south, and hilariously calling ham subs with American cheese Italians. And right now, Gretchen and I both have on our LLBean Shirt-Jacs, like we said. Yep. And this morning, James told me I was looking good, and I had this on. And I said, only a Mainer husband would still think the wife is beautiful in an LLBean shirt-jack that I wear every single day.
That's plaid, flannel, quilted. Have you seen the new satire site called New Maine News?
Mm-mm.
Which is hysterical because it parodies a lot of stuff, and one of them was about, they've done parodies on the Maine magazines that come out, and there was one like Maine Home and Design. They were like, all around the state, and they show a map to show where they've featured homes, and it was literally like a cluster in the Kennebunks and one in Portland. And I was like, don't even put this page in your magazine because you're not looking around Maine. You haven't even left like York County, so why would you? Like, it was almost like embarrassing to have this huge map and be like, look at all the beautiful homes we featured in Maine, and have them like a glob at the bottom. There was another parody where it said like a Maine travel writer survives 24 hours outside of Portland, and now she's wandering around because everyone writes about Portland and their food scene and blah blah blah, whatever. I'm like, whatever, you can have it, Portland, because Bangor is way better.
Well, Portland. So I lived in Portland for quite a while. 8 years on and off,
and you're here now.
Yeah,
so and that just says it all.
I can see that Portland is awesome, and I didn't want to leave when I lived there. I really didn't. But the difference, I think, up here is we have a lot of what they have, but just a lot less people and less of it all. So therefore, getting from point A to point B is much easier. And also, there's just a much stronger sense of community.
Yeah.
And it's probably just because of our population size and density, but...
Well, and the interesting thing about Bangor is that it's what is called a pull city, or the pull factor of our city is like really big compared to other places. And that the pull factor is the number of people that come into town each day to work or for services or for whatever. So we only have 30,000 people that live here, but we have a pull factor of like 100,000 that come every day for work, shopping, medical, all that kind of stuff. So because we have, and we draw from a huge area, like we draw from Canada people to come here for shopping and medical and stuff like that. So because of that, we have all these services and stores and resources that a bigger city would have. But we have the small schools and the small neighborhoods and the small house prices and all of that. So it's kind of a nice balance, I think.
I can't remember what the stat is in Boston, but it's something similar. The population in Boston proper is maybe 400,000. I don't know. Don't quote me. But the pull factor is 1 million.
Right.
1 million people enter the city.
Right.
It's probably common in cities. But okay, so what other things do you think are great about living here besides our house? In addition to all the other complaints about our houses, they're also all very old. I think mine was built in 1905. But
I like that.
No, they're charming, but they're very expensive to renovate.
Yeah, that's why I haven't renovated mine. Yeah. Mine's a 50s house. But I mean, there's all these little subdivisions that my kids even don't like the subdivisions when they go to them because they're like, where are all the trees? They go in, they tear down the trees. The subdivisions have 10-foot setbacks, so every house is 20 feet apart, but it feels very cluttered and weird compared, like our neighborhood has 5-foot setbacks. So like, I'm pretty sure that my garage is 10 feet from my neighbor's house, if that. But I don't feel like I'm.
Oh yeah, you can. I think I could touch my neighbor's house.
Yeah, but because of the trees and because of the sidewalks and because of everything else, it doesn't have that you know what I'm talking about when I talk about those subdivisions where they mow down every tree, put up all the same house, 10 different colors of vinyl siding, and they called it a neighborhood, and and you never see anyone out. I actually was talking to somebody at work who had lived in, and it's an older subdivision with trees and stuff, and how he lived there with his kids, and they were looking to buy there. He was renting, I think, but then he hated it because he was like, there was never anybody out. It felt like every house was empty because you never saw anyone on their lawn. No kids were out, no kids on bikes. So they moved to a different neighborhood, not ours, because when they drove through there, they saw kids out playing and they felt like a much more soulful community.
Well, this is the reason why when we moved home, I don't know if I've ever confessed this on the podcast or not, but we looked at 56 houses.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that before.
Because partially, my teaching area and research is in community health. So this is what I study all day, is what makes a community healthy. So there's all that was feeding into it. And then also I had simultaneously read this book, Millionaire Next Door.
Yeah.
And there's a whole chapter just on what type of house you should buy and in terms of a smart investment. And he really digs into the data on established neighborhoods and resale value, and then compares it to new developments. Not that new developments aren't going to last and end up being an established neighborhood, but it's just less risky to buy into an established neighborhood. So anyway, we love everything about our neighborhood. We've talked about that a lot. But there are other places in our city that we like.
So I love I'm a member of the Bangor Y, and I think it's weird, like the whole history of the Y. There used to be a YMCA and a YWCA, and then they merged, and now it was just the Bangor Y, but I think it's officially a YMCA. I don't even know, but it's downtown basically. That's where my kids go for swim lessons. It's where I go to the gym in the morning. I went to the gym during the day this week, and it was super creepy. Did I tell you about? I think I told you. Did I tell you about? I went to the gym during the mornings when I go at 5 a.m. and there's regular people. I do not know their names, but if I would recognize them by their cars. If I ever saw them pulled over on the side of the road, I would stop and help them, and they probably would help me, even though we don't know our names. Like, they're very decent people. the people that were in the gym Saturday mid-morning, there was a guy in Boggs who was singing along to the radio, and the weight room is in the basement, so it's feels kind of isolated anyway. And I was like, why are you singing along? You don't have to do that. Come on, dude. And why are you wearing Boggs to lift weights? I don't get it.
Oh, wait, he was lifting weights in Boggs?
Yes.
That is something that would happen in Bangor, Maine.
Well, and then another guy who doesn't even know him, some other guy came in who I was kind of just lurking. It was a little creepy. He was wearing unlaced work boots and jeans and like
oh my
hanging out
gosh,
on the
when
bench.
someone works out in jeans.
Why?
I don't. It's so funny though.
I'm like, you're a stalker. You've run in here to hide from the police because why are you wearing jeans in the weight room? And then he kind of got on, there's like an elliptical down there. And he kind of like gets on that and sort of saunters back and forth. And I'm like, I don't want to bend over in front of you.
So you prefer your 5 a.m. people?
My 5 a.m. people are decent, honorable people. They're not these creepers who are just trolling. And the Boggs guy sat there for 20 minutes fixing his hair before he took every weight in the room. Like, I'm going to go ahead and squat 6,000 pounds. But before I do that, I got to sing along to Pink Floyd and do my hair in the mirror and text and take a picture and make sure I can show off my Boggs. It was so weird. But anyway. So, on the other hand, it services a wide variety of people.
That's a glowing endorsement for the Bangor Y.
So, anyway, just don't go maybe mid-morning or do come and meet me and be the normal person. Anyway, but they have swim lessons and they have like group fitness classes. It's kind of, you have talked about Les Mills before. Mm-hmm. They have the same kind of classes. It's just not branded under that. It's
a different brand. I can't
Power
remember the
Together, and it used to be called Group Power. Now it's Power Together, Cycle Together, all these different things. And but the people are always really nice. I love the new fitness center at the university up the road, and wish that RY could be replaced with something like that. Or like my sister has a community center that looks like that has the second floor walking track. I like even that. I think is just a nice thing to have in a gym. But it's a nice community resource. My daughters both have done programs there, and it's a place to go that's open at 5 a.m. for me to go lift weights. It's not that far from my house. It's not that expensive. So I feel like that's a good resource, and I feel like they're trying to grow and do more community stuff as well.
Yeah, I went to a focus group.
Yeah,
as a non-member, and it was really interesting. They really want to engage in the community more and offer more programs and provide services where we may have gaps from other services that are provided in the area. So it's clear that they're invested in the community.
Right. So what's one for you?
I love the Bangor PD. I mean, we talk about our...
Wait, now you just had a run-in.
Oh, I did. But he was so nice when I called.
So was it all taken care of? Or
yeah.
Have we straightened it out?
He giggled a little, and then he was like... Then I think he was a little suspicious. And he said, did you know the person? And I said, no, I did. If I knew him, I would have stopped.
That's so Bangor, though. That's right? Like, well, what do you mean you didn't know him? He was on your street. Why wouldn't you stop and know? How could you not know him?
I also got a lot of crap for admitting to my accident on this live podcast.
Well, I had someone text me that said that she was laughing like, oh my God, this is hysterical. So I think it's just a testament to your nobility and your honesty, frankly. My
sister said, Kelley, why would you publicly admit that you hit someone and then drove away? I said, well, it wasn't intentional. I mean, I really thought
it happened. And it helps explain, the other thing is that's what happened. And it helps explain it. I'm the one who, when someone cuts me off in traffic, or when someone's being a jerk, I'm always like, you know what? Maybe you just found out that your cat died. I don't know. Maybe you're in labor and that's why you're doing it. So, I try to cut people some slack. So it's kind of the same thing. So maybe if I saw that scene play out in front of me, I might be like, maybe it wasn't just some jerk mowing down side mirrors, and maybe there was some reason or something that was not clear. And so I think that you actually did a service in making it not sound like, because if you hadn't, then it just sounds like if you hadn't told that story, someone else might have seen that and been like, oh, yeah, why'd that person just go tearing down the street, stop and tear off again? But if you help explain your side, I think it's noble.
So do you have road rage?
No.
I don't either.
I'm like kind of like, I sometimes get pissed at other people. Like I remember, like I've been driving, especially when I'm like going to IKEA or something, and I'm in my minivan with my Maine plates, and I'm driving through like that outskirts of Boston, and there's traffic. I'm gonna be like, look at my license plates. You should be nicer to me. You know I am not familiar with this area.
No, they're much more severe on people with Maine plates.
Oh, I know, but I'm like, come on. It's like,
Yeah, cut me some slack. Your roads don't even make sense down here. Yeah, we changed our plates, I think, like days. We'd lived there days, and we had to change them because I was so stressed driving. People were honking and swearing at me, and I don't have road rage, but I developed it there.
Yeah.
I really did. Oh my gosh. It was so bad living there, but James has severe road rage. But I don't even like driving with him in the car sometimes because he'll try not to say anything out loud, so then it will be internal, but it's like sweating off him. He's mad at the car in front of them because they're not going 5 miles over the speed limit. They should be going 5 miles over, and he'll be trying to have a conversation with me, and he's like, yes. And I said, oh, are you mad at the car in front of you? No. Yes, you are. Oh, yes. Well, he should be going 5 miles over the speed limit. And it's so, I don't understand road rage. I just don't. I don't understand it at all.
Well, I feel like I'm going to mention this too. There was somebody who was in one of my kids' classes who had just moved here from Utah, which Utah's like a nice place, like a nice people place, It's not like Massachusetts. And people in Massachusetts are very nice too. But
well, it's the road's fault, the way they design those roads. I'm sorry, but that causes.
Yeah, totally. But the one thing that her kids noticed, they thought the car's horns were broken here because no one was honking their horns. And I've sat through, and like I'll sit there and you'll see that someone's in front of me is not paying attention. The light turns green and I'll wait. And finally, like when it's been like a while, I'll be like, doot doot,
right.
Like, hey.
A friendly toot.
Like, hey.
Yeah.
The light's been green for a while.
Yeah.
There are places to be. Can you move along? Whereas, other places it's just like, oh, the light's red, we're going to honk now, so they notice when it turns green and just lay on the horn. And it's not a lot of honking here.
No, we don't honk here.
Actually, if someone honks, I think that there's it's like, what's wrong? Am I about to hit a child? Are you trying to get my attention for some safety reason?
Yeah, we're so nice. We're nice drivers here.
Yes.
So I love the Bangor PD because I think their Facebook pages really humanize them. Mm-hmm. To not think of a police department as us and them, and they are just horrible. They don't have hearts. They're just out to fight crime. And I looked at their stats, and they have 274,000 Facebook followers.
Wow.
In a community of like 30,000. And so there was a news story on today about the Bangor PD. There was a little boy who was 4 years old, and his dad was with him, and he's a single dad, and the little boy wanted to check out the police car, so the officer let him get in and turn on the lights, and it was such a cute story, and it was the best part of the kids' week, and they posted it up on the page, and then the news featured him, and it was so cute. So they're like, I feel like they get into the community too. They're not just like, we're the police, you're the people, don't talk to us,
Here's another one of those, like, okay, but you really love living there, really? When I about to say this sentence, when the burglaries were happening.
We've never talked about that. Oh, yeah, I guess we have.
I think we have. So there was this, like, spate of burglaries, and my house and my neighbor's houses were hit first. But it was like, this is a Bangor crime. They broke in by entering open windows and unlocked doors.
And they stole cash.
And if your door was locked, they didn't break it down or try to pick it. They just went down the street to the next one until they found one that was unlocked. So all you had to do was lock your doors. And I've always kind of teased Dave about his attentiveness to home security. And he locks the screen door every night. He's like, well, if they find that one locked, what are they going to do? Break it down? I'll hear them, and then I'll call the police, whatever. So we lock all our doors and windows. And we actually had... after one neighbor was hit, I was like, I should look around. They had actually sliced our screen open and tried to open a window, but it was locked. So they didn't. And they moved on to another house. And I think he hit like 20 houses.
22 or 24.
Yeah, it was like
it was a couple.
And actually, Yeah. Anyway, so, but when that happened, so the kids on my street were kind of freaked out that there was a bad guy breaking into houses. And it's just that weird, creepy feeling of someone being in your house, because across the street they did get in. And the police came by and they were like, we think we know who it is and we're working really hard to get him. And we're driving by here, you know, every night. We're keeping an eye on this neighborhood and it's safe. And like really, and then came and just really made the kids feel safe and not, you know, tried to ease their fears that they didn't have to worry about it in the neighborhood. And then when it all came down, who it ended up being is somebody who lived in the neighborhood, who had a drug problem, who was looking for cash to buy more drugs. And he was arrested and pled guilty, or he went to jail. So, you know, he was sentenced and all of that. But it was not a violent crime. It was totally a crime of opportunity. It was like the next step up from the other thing they'll do is they'll check car door handles in the spring. And if you don't, and people will be like, well, I don't want to lock my car. Like, no, you lock your car. Just lock your car. Like, that's all you have to do. Boom. Click. Anyway, I know I've complained about this
before. Gets into wars in the Facebook thread about this.
I wouldn't say I'm a warrior. I would say that I am more of a passionate informer.
What was the show that basically reenacted?
Easy.
Oh my gosh. Easy. I wish I could remember the episode.
Season 2, episode 1.
Okay, Easy.
Only because it still comes up on my Netflix.
Easy, season 2, episode 1. Basically describes everything that happened in our neighborhood. All the players are there. I was belly laughing when I watched that episode because it was so funny. It was everything that had gone on. People were trying, should we go out and take care of it ourselves? Trying to start night patrols, and Gretchen's like, no, you should not. You should leave that to the police. Oh, it was so funny. But the police were very good. The chief, I think it was a chief, he was in communication with our neighborhood leader, and it was, anyway, I really like the Bangor Police Department. What other things do you like here in terms of the community assets? Do you remember when before the waterfront was the waterfront? Yes.
Do you remember like when it was like a train yard? And
yes, because we'd been gone 8 years and we came back, and the summer we came back, I went to a Dixie Chicks concert.
Oh yeah.
And my friends had come up from southern Maine and out of state to go to this concert with me. And we walked from my house and we hit Main Street, and it was shoulder to shoulder people walking in Main Street. And I said to them, you guys, can you believe this? And they're like, what? I go, this is crazy. We're in Bangor, Maine. And they go, okay. I go, look at all these people. And that was my first experience with Waterfront Concerts, but it's totally transformed the city.
But even just not just the concerts, but just the waterfront area itself.
Yes.
When I first lived in Bangor, we used to go down to the old waterfront, which was literally like old train tracks and old, you know, crumbling buildings, to take like emo black and white pictures looking moody. And now that they've totally like that, now it's like a park. And when the folk art festival came, that really transformed it. And so you go down there, there's food trucks in the summer, there's concerts. I saw Sarah McLachlan there, and it was like the most amazing. I don't think you could see like Sarah McLachlan any better. It was like one of those perfect summer nights. It was totally clear. The sky, like you could see all the stars in the sky, because we are a small enough town that we don't have that much light pollution. And here's Sarah McLachlan singing all of my favorite songs. It was awesome. It was such a great night. But I was like, and I had the thing like, I cannot believe I'm in Bangor.
Yeah.
Sitting here listening to this, like, what has happened? And well, then when Tool came, I had a friend who had extra tickets, and so I was trying to help sell them. And then another friend who I had worked with at Borders 20 years ago messaged me, I might want them. And then he's like, nah, I guess not. It's kind of far to drive. He lives in Portland now. Kind of far to drive for a Tool concert. And I was like, listen to yourself. I was like,
2 hours.
If it had been
Boston.
If it had been 20 years ago when we were working at Borders in the music department, so they came in and said, hey, guess what? When you're 40, you're going to turn down Tool tickets that are in Bangor. You would punch a person in the face and be like, A, Tool's never playing Bangor, and B, why would I? No, I would never turn that down. And they're like, it's too late to drive that night. It's kind of late to drive up there for just a Tool concert in Bangor. I'm like, and it's not like Tool has. It's not like a band that has dropped to the bottom of the barrel and is like playing lounges. Like, it was a full-on show. a full-on concert experience. But I was like, this is so you could not have even fathomed it 20 years ago.
Definitely not. It's amazing. Did you buy any concert tickets yet this year?
Not yet. I think we'll probably take at least one of my daughters would very much care to see the Kidz Bop.
Yes.
Live.
We bought our Kidz Bop tickets already.
But we wait to buy our tickets.
Oh, yeah, I could see that. I get the lawn. The lawn is very reasonably priced. We walk down from our house, so it's perfect for us. I mean, if you're coming from away to go to the concerts, it can get pricey because they did an economic evaluation of the impact of the Waterfront concerts, and they said that hotels will book out all the way to like Bar Harbor or something. Like if people like to stay in Bangor to go to Bar Harbor and it's a busy night at the concert, they won't even be able to stay in Bangor because everything will be full. Yeah. And then expensive.
And then so it's a great fundraiser. Like we've done great fundraisers because the businesses will rent out their parking lots to nonprofits they collect money. So you park for $10. When we've gone, I don't think we've ever walked down, but I've had our for Tool, we had a sitter and I had the sitter drop us off and then come back. And then we left a car. That's what we did. We left a car early and then we had the sitter drop us off and then we went to the car and drove back because it's right in town. But it's so amazing. And I'm interested to see what other shows they get this year too. So it'll be interesting to see what else is coming. But I've seen
Old Dominion's coming. I'm so excited.
I don't even know.
You're not a country person.
Is that a band? There you go. Yeah. You get to tell me.
I can't. My kids love the Old Dominion songs. I won't take them though. I've seen kids there before. But it's not the best.
I saw kids at the Tool concert. And I was like,
yeah.
I don't know. I think it was worth the sitter.
Kidz Bop though, they're gonna love. So yeah, I love the Waterfront concerts and the Waterfront. You're right, the walking trails and the food trucks, and now Bangor Savings Bank's gonna put in that whole new complex, which is gonna be so nice.
Do your guys ride bikes yet? Do they know how to ride bikes?
They do.
Both of them?
Well, Max has I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but it's a balance bike.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Okay, well, they're new. I mean, we didn't even have that for Cameron.
Yeah.
So Max has that, and next year we'll get him a regular bike, and I think he's just going to be able to ride it without training wheels at all.
Well, it's kind of a neat place to ride bikes down there if you go down on those little paths because it's nice and paved and there's no cars, and it's kind of a nice little place to take the kids. You have to make sure they don't ride off into the river, but that's all you have to worry about.
Oh, no big deal. Yeah, because I get nervous with them riding their bikes in the neighborhood. Just because of the cars.
Right. So I used to pack up the girls' bikes and take them down there, and they would ride around down there. That's kind of cool. So what else do you like?
I really do like the schools, even though I know I've made some public comments about health, and it's only because I know that the schools are so strong that they could.
Right.
And they have done actually a lot of improvements in terms of health that I'm very proud of. But the schools are nice because they're neighborhood schools, and so you know everybody, and the teachers are really strong. I mean, it's mind-blowing to me how much our son has progressed from the first day of school until January. I mean, he's reading.
And he's kindergarten, so you'll get his first report card this week or next week.
Oh, is it?
The second quarter just ended, yeah.
It's. I mean, the teachers are. At least I can speak for his teacher. She's amazing. And the outcomes that the school district has, considering some of our demographics, is really impressive. And I think this makes Bangor I think the schools are a great asset to the city and why people want to live here.
Well, we have, for our kids going through, every school except for the 4-5 is a blue ribbon school.
Exactly.
And the 4-5, because of the way we break up our schools, I wonder if they could even qualify for it. I don't know how it works if 2 grades counts, but every one of them is a blue, like our elementary just got blue ribbon and the middle and high school have had it for a while. So I feel like that's pretty interesting. And I have now had my kids in 3 of the 4 schools they will attend. And every time it's been great. And so far they seem to be enjoying it and it's all good. And yeah, I like the schools.
Yeah. So I think the schools are an asset.
I think the thing about the schools is we have amazing student-teacher ratios. which is not like that in all places. I know that I had a friend who taught in Colorado, and she saw the class lists for my kids' class and just about fell over because there are no mandated student-teacher ratios in Colorado. It's just whatever the district sets. So she had something like 35 students and no aides, and most of them were ESL in a high-poverty school in second grade.
Wow.
And so she saw the list of like 12 kindergartners and was blown away, shocked. Like I could do so much if I had 12 kids.
Well, I mean, this is a whole nother side rant, but when reports come out that say that ratios don't matter.
Oh my God, it's like the number one thing.
Because in college they do this too. You know, you get classrooms of 100 students in lecture halls, and I'm sorry, I can do so much more with a class of 20 than I can with a class of 100.
Even I had one of my biggest classes this year was 22, and I felt the difference from 17. Like,
oh yeah,
like the smaller classes, you have to have like one of my favorite years. I think it was like an off year, so I had 6, and it was like a seminar style. It was awesome. It was great. I loved it. And then because we all sat around, did a round table. I actually had a distant student, so I set up the screen so that she was pulled up to one side of the table, so she was sitting at the round table with us. It was awesome. And that's adults. That's higher ed. 22-year-olds. And so when you're talking about little guys like 5 and 6 years old, less is more. You can get so much done in such a deeper connection to the student, to the teacher, to the content with the smaller ratios. And I feel like we're really fortunate that our school has stuck to its really good ratios, especially when it's right on the cusp of, we have one more, like our ratio, and I'm making this number up, but say their number is 20-1 and there's 21 kids, where it could be so close to just fudge it for that 1 year. But nope, they'll split it and they'll have 11 and 10 and make sure that they don't hit that ratio. I was in a school at once that did that tried to fudge it and did like 21. And within 3 weeks, they were hiring a third teacher and breaking up the classes again, which is not a good situation. So I'm really glad that the schools really maintain that ratio and don't see it as a hard stop.
Yeah, I mean, the principal knows all the kids' names, greets everybody, and not only greets them all in the morning, but when you go to pick them up at the end of the day, he also knows all the parents' names, the babysitter, the aunt, the uncle. And in fact, when I went to introduce myself to the secretary the first day, I walked in and she said, "Oh, hi." I said, "Oh, I was just coming to introduce myself." She goes, "Oh, yeah, you're Cameron's mom, right?" And I just stared at her for a second like, yeah, okay. That's wild. Like, she already knew exactly who I was, and I had never even seen her before. Right. So I like that about it. I feel a sense of safety that everyone's definitely looking out for one another.
Well, and it's the same in the schools, and it's the same in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And that when our kids are out, they're out, and we see them, and other people see them, and I feel like my kids, as they get older, they don't even realize how many people are watching out for them. Even when we go skiing, the first few times that Ingrid skied on her own, she was like, people kept saying hi to me. And I'm like, yeah, because they see you every week. They see, like, there was one time when we forgot her pass, and the people at the counter were like, oh yeah, we know she has a pass, and they just gave her a sticker to use instead. Or when I walk up to do lessons, I think this is what I love about Bangor, because I have this happen all over. If you're involved, you're known, and then your kids are known. So when I go now out to the ski lesson, to the ski hill, as I'm approaching the counter, she's scratching Willa's name off the list, getting her armband and her pass, and here you go. Like, already knows who I am. If something ever happened, she would know where to find me. Same thing at the library. Walk in and like, oh, it's the Schaefer family, yay! And here we go. And they know us, and they know the kids, and they know the girls, and we're known there. And there's all these places. The art museum has a great little art camp, and the art camp instructor just did a project with Dave for work and was like, am I going to see the girls this summer? Like all these places where my kids are known, we're known. Part of that comes from being involved. And I'm the type who likes to be involved. You're the type who likes to be involved. Mm-hmm. I think it would be I don't know how it is for people who don't like to be involved.
Yeah, I can't imagine not being involved. I like to know everything, right down to the curriculums they're using, the plans. I love knowing everything. The food. I like knowing about the food, the schedule. The recess, all of it.
But even like just being active in your community.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the ways. So we're talking about like the winter blues. So there's no light. Has the temperature gone down? No, it still says 17 degrees, but you can see like it's 3:40 and starting to get dim or whatever.
I'm not sure I understand.
Sorry, Siri.
So what do you do to fend it off? Do you get it?
Well, I don't think I get it as bad as some people do, but I think honestly, when people struggle in the winter and they really feel borderline depression,
right?
I think a lot of it has to do with vitamin D, because of where we hit, where we are in the hemisphere. The sun doesn't get high enough to make vitamin D in our skin during the winter months. So during the summer, you can store a lot of vitamin D, but part of the problem now is all the heavy recommendations for sunscreen. So, you tend to lather up all summer long, and then we go through this 6 months of the year where the sun isn't at the right spot to create vitamin D in our skin. And then food sources of vitamin D are difficult because it's fortified milk and ocean fish, fresh ocean fish. And a lot of times you can't eat enough of that to get the amount of vitamin D you have. So if you did get some D in the summer from, like going outside for a few minutes and then putting your sunblock on, right now, your stores are probably
Did you get some D this
gone.
summer?
Yeah, I did. I got a lot. So I do try to do that, though. I try to go out in the summer and not put my sunblock on. Get some vitamin D and then put it on. But anyway, even that isn't always enough. So right around this time, you can be severely deficient in vitamin D. And in fact, I was one time, and I had muscle pains. So I had muscle pains, and I just generally felt malaise and fatigue. And I went thinking I knew everything. I skipped my primary care and went right to a sports specialist because I was getting this really severe pains on my hips, and I had an MRI. I had all these costly interventions, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. So I went back to my primary care for my annual physical, and I explained it to her, and she goes, have you had your vitamin D levels checked? And I said, no, actually I haven't. So she tested my vitamin D, and I actually had 0. I was critically red. So I went on a mega dose prescription of vitamin D for 6 or 8 months, and now I have my levels checked, but I take a regular vitamin D supplement now, and I have it monitored. So I can't recommend that enough to people because it helped me so much.
Yep.
And it's just a vitamin deficiency.
Have you ever seen the lamps or used the sun lamps?
I've thought about it before, but I've never tried it. Have you?
I haven't. I know people that love them.
Yeah, me too.
But I end up, because I'm a maximizer, when I've looked at them before, I get like mired down into the details, and then I'm like, screw it.
Well, then I'm just like, am I really going to have time to sit in front of it?
Right.
But I know people who've used them and love them.
Yeah. And I don't think I've ever heard anyone use them and not love them. That's one of the things that I've thought about. The other thing is I feel like January and February are the worst here because most people that around here that we know celebrate Christmas, or they celebrate Hanukkah, or there's something going on. There's a lot of stuff that just goes on in December, even if it's not related to the holidays. There's school concerts, and there's events and things happening. And I feel like as soon as like January 1st hits, it's like dead calendar for 2 months until the weather turns. I think that being able to have a way to enjoy the winter is helpful. Like I feel like the kids skiing, and when I can ski, helps make it be like, oh, okay, so this is something that we can do that makes it worthwhile. My husband hates the winter, does not ski, does not snowboard.
Does he go with you guys?
No, he never comes out with us.
He doesn't even go up to Sugarloaf?
No, my parents have a really small place, so it would be really cramped. So usually I just take him up there. And so he doesn't, so he stays here and does stuff, and I take them up there. And then, like, I'll be dropping the girls off. My parents when they hear this. I think they'll know already, but they're going to go up there for most of February vacation and stay up there. But he doesn't come up because it's just not his thing. And so it's like, okay, fine. But the girls love it. I drive and take them there. I don't think he's been there for 3 years. And his interactions with snow are really restricted to having to be the one to shovel it and snow blow it when there's a storm. So I'm the one who's like, oh my God, we're getting 2 feet of snow. I love it. I'm going to make cookies. We're going to do a puzzle. It's going to be so great. Like, I am a champion at inside snowstorm survival. Meanwhile, Dave is like, oh my God, it's going to snow. I got to get gas for the snowblower. I got to point it facing out. I have to make sure I have my hand warmers and my snow pants and all this. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. But I figure, learn to enjoy it. He does take the girls sledding. I hate sledding. Sledding, I think it's just, I don't know, maybe because I ski, it seems much more efficient. But sledding is not my deal. And he makes a sledding hill out front with our snow. So he uses a snow blower and directs all the snow to this one big pile and makes this big mountain. And they had a 2-track sledding hill earlier. It melted a lot in the January thaw. But he'll set that up. But he does not enjoy winter at all. So he's always like, we're going to retire to Florida. I'm like,
I do think being engaged in a winter activity is the key. Skiing, because I don't ski and I don't snowshoe and I don't ice skate. So I don't do any of that. But for the kids, Cameron does hockey, and we actually just took Maxwell for the first time out on the ice rink in the park because they flood our park in the winter, and it was really cold out. I think it was -12 with the wind chill that night. It was recently, last week. But I said to myself, James has been taking them, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go because I need to get outside.
Yep.
It's not healthy to stay inside like this. And I did. I froze, but it was good to get some fresh air. But anyway, Maxwell went on skates for the first time, and he's really good at it.
Oh, nice.
He was so cute. He said he asks now when he can do hockey.
Aw.
So I don't know.
Goodbye, money.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. That's what I was going to say. I don't know if it will all depend on Cameron likes hockey.
Right.
But I think having a winter activity is the key to survival. I mean, because skiing's expensive too. That's why I never did it. Because you have a place to stay, but gosh, people don't have a place to stay, and the lift tickets and all the gear, and then they must have to get new gear every year.
We have when I was a kid growing up, we didn't have a place to stay, and so we stayed at like a motel off the mountain. We ate, instant oatmeal with the hot water from the bathroom sink. We did it very efficiently.
Yeah.
Now that my parents have a place, it's almost cheaper. It's cheaper for me to ski, hands down, because I don't have to pay for lodging. I bring over some food, or we'll go out to dinner. My kids have gotten their skis. We are big fans of the ski club ski sale, and so it costs like a get up for them will be say $200, but it lasts for 2 or 3 years because one daughter uses it and it's getting handed down to the next one, and then we turn around and consign it at that same ski sale and get some money back to put towards the next one. So that helps there. And then the lift tickets, I do buy the girls a season pass for my parents' mountain because they typically this year they haven't spent much time up at all. We went up once, but it was so cold you could hardly ski, and then my parents have been gone. So that usually works out that it's cost effective to buy them the kids season pass. And here I pay for lessons for Willa, and this year I got Ingrid has a season pass to our Little Hill, which is the same price as lessons, but she's really outgrown lessons. So, and it's such a small hill that she is fine to ski on her own with friends. And when I go out there, I usually sometimes I ski. I haven't yet this year. With my legs, I want it to be like really good conditions to make it worth it. But I'll spend my time out in front of the lodge talking to the parents. They take lessons with friends, and I'll see other friends and have these great conversations out on the snow, drinking my cup of coffee. So it's good.
Yeah, I do. I think that's a big key to enjoying winter is getting involved in a winter activity. And for hockey, I think that the cost in hockey comes with travel hockey because it's the same. Cameron, we bought him his equipment 3 years ago, and it was just under $200. And every year since, he's only needed new skates. But you can do the same thing. You can return them, which we haven't done yet because we're going to give it to Maxwell.
Right.
And the hockey is $30 for the season.
Oh, yeah.
But the travel hockey, that gets pricey. Very pricey.
Once you can get into that, like, network of people that can hand you down stuff and, pass. Like, even my skis and stuff, I bought my own boots. But my skis And my skis were a hand-me-down from one of my parents' neighbors. My original helmet was a hand-me-down, but it finally really broke. And so I actually just bought a new helmet. And my poles are a mismatched set that one of their friends up there in the spring, hikes under all the lifts and picks up all the broken poles and collects them. So I have 2 mismatched poles, but they were free. So once you're connected to 100 skiers, it becomes a little bit more cost effective when you can get into that community. So, at least for me. And my parents are very generous in sharing their place with us. It's really little, but it's totally fine for what we need it for. So that's really nice too. But we actually did take the girls skating last year. We have friends who have a pond on their property that they maintain. Like they plow it, and they made a Zamboni with a 4-wheeler and a cooler. And it's awesome. And so we took them out there skating, and Willa loved that. She thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people in the hockey league have made ski rinks in their backyard.
Oh, yeah, those are like crazy with boards, and it's like regulation size. This is like a pond they plow.
Okay.
It's not
like at the park where we have. Is it similar to that?
No, it's like it's yes, but you have to go down this like woods trail to get to it. It's really pretty cool. It's really like a magical little scene, because then you go through the woods and there's a little fire, and then this whole pond that they meticulously shovel and plow. Every storm they go down there to make sure that they keep the ice clear, which I'm like, I would give up after the first storm. I'd be like, nope, I'm inside doing puzzles, making cookies. But they take very good care of it, so it looks really cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I definitely think having a winter activity to look forward to, so that when you see snow, you actually get excited, unlike Dave, and say, oh my gosh, now I've got to get my snowblower gas, etc.
Right.
I think that's key. And the other, definitely getting your vitamin D levels checked, because vitamin D deficiency can cause symptoms of depression.
It's so funny because I used to take vitamin D regularly, like a lot of it, because I had low levels too. And I just haven't taken it in a long time. And so this morning I was in the cupboard, I was like, I should probably take it. Like, it's January. Mm-hmm. And so I took my usual dose. And so I wonder if I was just in the back of my mind that this is what we're talking about today, that I was like, I better like pregame for this.
Funny, because I didn't tell you what I was going to say.
I know. So, but and the other thing that I think is interesting about living in seasons is that I've lived in seasons for 41 years. And every year I get tricked in like October, November to be excited for the first snow. And every year I get excited for it, even though I know it's going to be a mess. I know it's going to be cold and my heat bills are going to go up. I'm always like, oh, winter's coming. Yeah. Dave's like, no, that doesn't happen to me. That never happens to me. You're crazy. But do you get that? Like, do you anticipate each season? Like every year I anticipate, and I don't like to, right now where we've had this crazy weather because of climate change, it depresses me, but I don't like to get excited for spring until ski season is over. So like mid-March, April 1st is when I'm like, all right, spring, bring it, let's go. But every season I get all antsy for it, like, oh, I can't wait. And then I promise I won't take any day of summer for granted, and I'm going to be in the lake every single day, and it's going to be awesome. And then you get lazy like halfway through, and you're like, well, it's not like most days this week. And then then fall comes, you're like, oh, I'm going to wear my sweater and I'm going to crunch through the leaves. It's going to be awesome. But and every year I have the same pattern every year.
Yeah. I really tried to enjoy summer this past summer, but I agree with you. Even I, with the intention of enjoying summer, found myself inside cleaning or doing something I shouldn't have been doing inside. But I definitely look forward to the snow, and I love a snowstorm. I love the news center.
Oh my God.
Storm center. The only thing that I honestly am a little disappointed about is how all the school cancellations now are just auto.
Yeah, it's just a call. They don't have to
call to your house.
They don't have to wait forever.
Yeah, it was so fun to watch.
Yeah, and wait for your school to be called.
your school to
or
be
the radio.
Called. Yes.
See, mine was different because my mom was a teacher and she was on the phone tree back in the olden days.
So you already.
So if the phone rang before 6 a.m.,
you knew.
I was like, boom, snow day. It's on. This is good. And I still love a snow day. And it's important. Dave doesn't get them off, so he has to work. So it's always like this we have two totally different perspectives on snow days.
Right.
But I actually posted a picture from a couple years ago when we had an anticipated snow day that happened when we had our neighbor over, and Ingrid had written out the schedule, and it was like, first Lego, then marble race, then cookies, then dance party, then rest, TV. Like, she planned out the whole day, and we pretty much stuck to the schedule because she was a taskmaster that day. But a good snow day is a wonderful thing.
It is.
I almost wish people in other places could understand. Someone described a snow day as like getting a Sunday in the middle of the week, a surprise Sunday in the middle of the week, where you don't have to go anywhere or do anything. I thought that was a good analogy.
I almost think it saves us mentally.
Yeah.
Now, not everyone gets them, so I can't say it's true of the whole population, but like, I know even for the kids, because school is more intense than it used to be. At least, I mean, when I was in kindergarten, we went half a day, we played dress up, and we colored.
Yeah.
Now they do math equations, and they read full books, and it's very much more intense. So the snow days through the winter in the middle of the season, I think that's kind of a nice break for the kids, and that unexpected pause. But I will say, when there's too many in a row, like this recent run of it, because we were off for we were off from Christmas through New Year's, and then they went back to school one day, and then we had 2 snow day, like half a day, and then maybe 2 in a row. By the end of that, I was walking around my house. I thought I was going to.
They need to be spaced out more. You need to have vacation, and you need to have a nice run of school, and then boom, a snow day, and then a little run of school, and then maybe like a nice March storm.
Right.
One last hurrah snow day, and then finish out the season. That's how it needs to be.
I can't entertain 4 and 6-year-olds for 15 days straight.
I've seen
when it's negative 22 outside.
Plus, it was a really cold vacation week.
It really was.
I like. There's been this push because of instructional technology, which is what I do. Oh, like, great, there's a snow day, so your kids can do their homework at home instead of being in school. And I really, really don't like that use of technology, because I think that kids should be able to celebrate that unexpected break in the middle and be like, oh, I don't have anything to do. I can stay in my pajamas all day long. This is going to be perfect.
Yeah, plus I think that when classes this is another side rant, but I think that people just think, oh, we have technology now. You teach a class live, you can just pop it online and everything will be fine. And that is so not the case. I mean, online classes, there's a science behind how they should be designed, how they should be delivered, and just the way in which the instructions are laid out. Because the poor student on the other end could be spending hours just trying to figure out what the heck you wanted.
Right. And
I get really hesitant to think, oh, it's the same thing, just pop it online, because it's not the same thing. So I'm with you.
For college, it's okay to be like, oh, here's the lecture. Here's my lecture notes. Here's the readings I want you to make sure you've done for next week. Like, parcel out that kind of information.
Basic, very basic. Yeah.
All right, so let's wrap this up because we gotta go get children. What's your favorite thing?
Oh, okay. So I was going to clear up my food. So I'll have to do this on another podcast.
Okay.
I was going to clear up my food beliefs because I've been getting so many questions about, I think there's a misconception about why I am so into healthy food, and that people think that I'm like more into the diet, because we went to Novio's for book club.
Oh, okay. I wasn't there.
Oh, you weren't there.
So I guess I missed something good.
Yeah, well, and one of my friends said, oh, well, this you probably won't like because it has high calories. And I was like, oh, really? No, it says calories. That's nothing to do with it. So I think there's some confusion about my food beliefs. So I'll do that on another podcast. But so that's where I was going to put my favorite thing. But my new favorite thing is we just got a spiraler.
Oh, yeah?
So one of the things we do a lot is we swap out pasta for sweet potato or zucchini. Mm-hmm. And we had this hand spiraler because I was really cheap at the time. This was like heavy duty Dave Ramsey, and it was $10. And it took forever. My arm would hurt. It was terrible. So then I started saying, forget the spiraler, and I just started buying the spiraled sweet potato.
Right.
Because have you seen it in the grocery store? It's spiraled up and it looks just like spaghetti.
Is it Hannaford?
Yeah.
Oh, because I haven't looked.
It's expensive though.
I haven't been specifically seeking out spiral food. So.
Spiraled food. Oh my gosh, it's such a great substitute for spaghetti, and it tastes good. So anyway, I was buying, and it's a superfood. So I was buying this, it was $5 for a spiraled thing. And so finally I just bit the bullet and I bought a new one, a spiraler on Amazon. I think it was $25. It's amazing. It is so quick. You can just spiral a sweet potato, no time. It looks just like pasta. It's full of nutrients.
Does it have to be a cooked potato?
No. Oh. No. It's a raw potato. And then you cook the spiraled sweet potato on a frying pan or in a skillet.
Okay. Interesting. Have to try that.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture.
I'll have to try that. All right, so my favorite thing this week is going to be my new phone, which was my unexpected purchase from last week.
I'm jealous.
And when I purchased it, I was not really planning on getting one, so I was I tend to buy the top end phone and then keep it for a long time. And so I was like, well, it's an iPhone, and they have the iPhone X, and then the 10, and then they have the 8 Plus. And so I ended up going with the 8 Plus because it was a little cheaper, and I wasn't planning on buying a phone, but it had the same camera as the 10, and it had a longer battery life because it doesn't have all the features of the 10. So I was like, oh, that actually works out pretty well. So the camera part has been amazing. So I took pictures of the girls skiing. Our friends were skiing, and I took pictures, and they look like the portrait mode is not a joke. It literally looks like
a professional
portrait. Yeah, it looks amazing. And it's like this snapshot of, and my phone, I couldn't have taken a picture of the girls skiing with my old phone because the battery is so pooched that it would shut down in the cold weather. So I wouldn't have even gotten a picture. So the fact that I'm out there and have a battery that is at 65% at the end of my day is amazing. So, and also having the camera feature is awesome. So the two things I really wanted were battery and camera, and I got both of them. So if you end up in that situation where you're unexpectedly needing to buy a new phone and you're an iPhone person, and we are iPhone people because of Find My Friends and stuff like that, and the family sharing and the parental restrictions and all that stuff we can do on my kid's phone, I strongly recommend the 8 Plus. So I am very excited that I have this new phone. Although it's so big, I've had to, have you seen?
No.
Have you noticed my double pop sockets?
Oh my gosh, let me touch it.
So I added.
Oh wow, I couldn't handle that.
I talked about pop sockets, so it's bigger because it's a plus, and so I was telling my friend that it was. Oh
my gosh, can you get a normal sized one?
Not with the camera. To get the battery in the camera,
really?
It has to be a bigger one.
Oh, okay.
So it's the first time I've jumped up in size.
Oh, that thing is huge.
But I added. So I said the double pop sockets are the elastic waistband of an iPhone to be rocking your double. Like, this is so comfortable to have two pop sockets, and I don't care how it looks. So I'm double popping.
Oh my!
It's all good. And
I gotta get a picture of that. That is
my double pop socket.
Funny.
Here we go. It's gonna be a crappy picture because it's the old iPhone.
No, her pictures are so good, it makes me want to get a new phone.
So it is bigger, and I don't find it. I have adjusted to the size. I don't find it. It was a little like, oh, that's kind of big, but I haven't been overwhelmed by it. So that's mine. So we got to wrap it up because I got to go pick up children and drop off Kelley.
So maybe next podcast I'll explain these food beliefs.
Let's do that. We'll talk about nutrition and food next time. You can help me.
Because then I can clarify this, because I feel like I've sent mixed messages to the world. My kids go to McDonald's, but I spiral sweet potatoes instead of pasta.
Have you tried spiraling a chicken McNugget? Next on Balance and Chaos. All right. Until next time.
Okay, great.
It's me and Kelley saying bye.
Bye.